Okay, Unit 2, marketing. Let's get to it. Number one question here is, what's the purpose of market research? Well, the purpose of doing any research is to get a better understanding of whatever it is that you're carrying the research out. In this case, the market is the customers. So we're doing lots of research as a business to understand what it is our customers want, what the views are, what are the need, so that we can develop products and services that are going to meet those needs. And if we do that, then we're going to persuade them to buy our products. So it's only when we get a good understanding of the market that we're able to make better decisions about the products and services to provide, which in turn reduces the risk of something going wrong. Now, equally, once we've got a good idea, we do some further research to tweak and improve that idea. So why an iPhone 10 becomes an 11, which becomes a 12, becomes 13, because we're constantly finding out more and more about what customers want. Ultimately, in the last one here, it also helps us to save money and to make our advertising better, because if we understand through our research what it is customers want, then we're probably going to do a better job at promoting and giving the message that will help persuade the customers to buy our products and services. So without market research, it's going to be a really big challenge to try and get customers to buy our products. Now, there are two groups that all market research falls into. One is primary research, which is when you collect brand new information for the first time yourself. And there's some examples there from questionnaires down to observations. And the second group is called secondary research, sometimes goes by the name desk research. And this is because you're using information that has been collected by somebody else. Most of it you can gather from behind your desk. But it is second-hand data. Some of it will be useful, but it's not brand new and it may not be up to date as well. Now, the exam does expect you to understand the pros and cons of each of the methods of research. But notice that the big tick here, because in the information released by the exam board, they only specifically mention primary research. So be careful with this. Don't go in without knowing what each of these things are and have a couple of pros and cons as a backup plan. But it's the primary research that they tell us they're going to be focusing on. And that's where we'll have a look at now. Before we do, the secret letter for this talk is C. Okay, so primary research, it tends to be time consuming and it can be expensive because you've got to do lots of it so that you can be confident in what your research tells you. But it's very specific to your business and your products and your customers. So it's really desirable research. Having done all of that research, your competitors will not have access to it. So it really will give you an advantage over them when it comes to learning about what your customers want. Secondary research is very fast because it uses information that's already been gathered. You know, that website is there. Oh, a quick click and I'm on that website. But that website wasn't made for me to help me decide on what products I should sell, for example. So it's not as good as doing research myself. It's not as specific as that. So whilst it tends to be inexpensive, often free, very, very quick to access, the big trade-off is that the competition can see it as well. And therefore, it's unlikely to give you a big advantage over them, because if you can get that information in 5 minutes, well, so can they. Specifically then, you're going to be asked about, or potentially be asked about, the 5 different methods that they talk about here. And this table just gives you an idea of the pros and cons of each of those things. So if questionnaires and surveys, is it up to date? Well, of course. Will it meet your needs? Well, you're not going to ask questions that you don't want to know the answer to. So of course it will meet your needs. Does it take a long time to gather? Well, this is a misconception. One questionnaire? Of course not. But one questionnaire is no good. You're going to have to do hundreds and maybe thousands before you've got a big enough sample size to be confident that your results are going to be trustworthy. So do questionnaires and surveys take a long time? Yes, provided you do enough of them. Is it expensive? Yes, you've got to send people out to gather this information. It's going to take time. You have to pay those people probably, and you've got to pay them to analyze the results. So it is expensive. It does take a long time to do often. But having done all of that, you've got brand new information which you can use to beat your competitors, and they don't have access to that information. Consumer trials are one of the areas students often forget. Rather than fully launching a product across the world or across the country and then hoping you've got everything right, one of the best ideas you can do is to do a little trial launch. Maybe launch it in a certain part of the country, or maybe if you're a big company and you sell worldwide, just launch it in one country first of all. And what you do at the end of that test launch, after a month or say 2 months, is you have the opportunity to get customer feedback and to find out what customers like or didn't like about your product. If you had any mistakes in the products or faults, well, you'd soon find that out as well. And it helps you avoid making mistakes that are too big in scale. So by doing a consumer trial and by testing it, it allows you to get that feedback. So is it up to date? Well, of course, you've just done it. Is it going to be specific to your needs? Well, of course, you're trialing your own product. Does it take a long time to gather? Yes. I mean, you're doing this trial. It might take weeks, it might take months before you get feedback from customers who've had a good try of your product, and they can tell you if they like your new phone, or if they can tell if they like your new shampoo or the new type of trainer. Is it expensive? Well, again, it depends how you gather the feedback. If people will volunteer to give you the information feedback, then I guess it won't be. But you may have to pay them as well to take part in the trial. Can competition see it? Of course not. We're going to use this to beat them. Two more. Observations just simply involve going looking to see what your competitors are selling, what your competitors are doing. So, is it up to date? Yep. Will it meet our needs? Of course. We wouldn't observe anything other than that. Observations are pretty quick to do, but remember you've got to do a lot of them before you've got confidence in what it is you're observing, that is true. And again, you've got to pay people to do it, and the more you do, the more it will cost you. Once again, like every type of primary research, competition can't see it. Now, a focus group is really a powerful tool that businesses use, and this is where you will pay customers to give up their time to meet with you to talk in detail about your product or service, what they liked, what they didn't like. And it's like an interview, but on a much bigger scale. So once again, is it up to date? Of course. Relevant? Yes. Does it take a long time together? Well, again, one doesn't, but what good is one focus group? One group might only take an hour or two, but you need multiple focus groups before you get confident in the results that they're giving you. Again, is it likely that people just volunteer to give up a couple of hours of their Saturday morning? Probably not. So you're probably going to have to pay them. And again, you're starting to see patterns, aren't you? That primary research is up to date, it's very relevant to us, but it does take a long time to do and it can be expensive. But the benefit of persevering with it is that competitors can't see it. Last but not least, you've got interview. You should be all very familiar with the kind of arguments I'm making now. Nice detailed questions, more thorough than a questionnaire. It allows you to ask follow-up questions and get a good understanding of what customers want. And just like all of the other methods of primary, it's up to date, it's specific, but it can be time consuming, it can be expensive based on the number of interviews that you're going to do. Once again, though, it gives you that advantage. Okay, topic one down. Well done, everybody. Speak to you soon.